is a timed, and we must live by 8:45. And lastly, we always thank Angeline Bose for all things Zoom for LRCA, and you're going to hear about some other duties that she's taken on as well. So please, if you have any questions or if you need to use her for any of your services, I think her email is at the bottom of the agenda. And Carmen Williams may join us as well. She's the president of North Michigan Park, and she serves as a backup in case anything happens to Angie. With that, let me see if Reverend Paul Smith is with us to lead us in an opening prayer.
Yes, good evening. Let us pray. God, we thank you so much for everything that you have done for us. Thank you for keeping us from all harm and danger. And now we ask that you bless each and every participant that's on this Zoom meeting tonight, that we strive to do the best we can to make our community a better place. To our only wise God, we say amen.
Amen. Okay. We're going to go with the elected officials update. And because I forgot Edwin Washington before of the Parks Main Street, I'm going to let him go first. Edwin, are you with us? Edwin?
He's just now joining.
Okay, thank you. Edwin, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm fine, sir. I just told folks that I'm sorry that I forgot about you last time. By the time I got to you, it was too late. So you're on first, my brother.
So now?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Good evening, everyone. I'm Edwin Washington with the Parks Main Street. Just wanted to share a few things, and thank you for the opportunity, President Foxworth. Wanted to share that so far in the fiscal year 21, that's from October of 2020 through now, the Parks Main Street has awarded $20,000 in grants to 5 small businesses within the Parks Main Street corridor. As of Monday the 26th, our second round grants application has been opened. We will be awarding a minimum of $15,000 up to $5,000 to small businesses within the TPMS corridor, and May 17th is the application deadline. So far, a few events coming up. The Riggs Park Art Crawl will be resuming. It's going to be July 9th through 10th. Certainly looking for volunteers for that. Certainly check our website. May is Asian American Island Pacific Islander Month. Within our corridors, we have Hunan Shrimp Boat, Riggs Cleaners, Riggs Wine and Liquor, and also Shining Stars Pediatric Dentistry, and certainly hope that you would look to support them during this month in particular. But also May is DC Small Business Month. So if you would look within the residents, if you will continue to do as you have been, and certainly the businesses have expressed the fact that many of you have continued to support them during the pandemic. And even as we start to see a little daylight, if you will, but continue to support local, the Parks Main Street. We are here to ask you to continue to support local businesses, which are the engine of the DC economy. And again, we're always looking for volunteers. Thank you, Rodney.
Edwin, can you stay around to take 1 or 2 quick questions?
I'll be happy to. If there's any, I'll be happy to. Thank you.
Angeline, if you can unmute everyone, and if folks can unmute yourselves, and let's see if there's any questions for Edwin.
Yes. What was that y'all need volunteers for, Edgar?
Thank you. That'll be for the Riggs Park Art Crawl, which will be coming up July 9th and 10th. We also, I failed to mention that we will be putting out our first newsletter, which will be coming out this week. At this point, it's going to be bi-monthly. But we are looking for the art crawl and then other volunteers. The website, our website is WordPress, and to help coordinate volunteers and and other things. So please feel free to reach out to me. My email is info@theparksmainstreet.org, or certainly go to our website, theparksmainstreet.org. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other quick questions before we let Edwin go?
We have a question from Mushenna Evans.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It appears that I didn't know if you all were aware of that. It said earlier that we could download a copy of the newsletter in the chat. And I know that also presenters often put information in the chat, but at least for me, it is showing that the chat feature is disabled.
Oh, actually, I see that too. I just decided to check on the chat, and it does say that the chat is disabled. In case
Angie, can
anyone
you-
wanted to send me any questions.
Angie, can you check on that for us, please?
I can certainly do that.
Thank you.
In the meantime, Rodney, what I'll do is just put some information, put a website and my email in the chat when it comes up. Thank you, Rodney, for the opportunity.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you. Let me go to the other elected officials. I thought I saw Lieutenant Savoy with us from MPD. Lieutenant Savoy. Give her a second to unmute herself.
She's here. This
Hello,
is Derek.
hi.
Okay,
Can
there
y'all
she
hear
goes.
me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Okay. Yes, hi. How's everyone?
Good, good, good.
Okay, great.
Lieutenant,
Yes, sir.
we're hoping that you give us an update about what's happening in our PSA.
Yes, sir. Okay. So yes, this is what I have to report to everyone. In the last 30 days, we've had 2 assault with dangerous weapon cases. Both of those cases have been closed. They were domestic in nature, no threat to the community. So both of those cases were closed with arrests. We have no robberies to report, which is good. Our motor vehicle thefts, we've had 2 in the last 30 days, which that's been decreased compared to last year. We have no arsons. Our thefts stayed the same, and theft from autos, our theft from autos went up to about maybe 3. But other than that, as far as like our violent crime is concerned, we're looking pretty good.
Well, that is good to hear. I know that folks have questions, and let me start with seeing if you can give us a brief update on the concerns about shots being fired, particularly around the area that encompasses Jefferson, Kennedy, parts of Oglethorpe, and even on 8th Street, I believe.
Right. Okay, so pretty much we've dedicated a unit within that specific area to address those sounds of gunshots. What that unit does is that they can't leave that area. You know, they're high visibility and they can't leave that area. Last month on the 15th, our unit that was within that area heard sounds of gunshots during the evening tour, and it pretty much observed a vehicle fleeing at a high rate of speed away from the area. A traffic stop was conducted where the one of the individual inside the car fled the vehicle on foot. Subsequently, we end up recovering 2 weapons. Those weapons have since been forwarded to our DFS for processing. That case is currently still under investigation. And since then, our sounds of gunshots have definitely decreased. So that's a good thing. On top of that special beat unit that we have designated for that particular area on the midnight tour, what we like to use is called the light tower. What the light tower does, it just gives extra high visibility to the area. There's that's another unit that sits with that light tower. I have spoken with just based upon where we're getting the sounds of gunshots. I spoke with Commissioner McDuffie, and we've kind of come up with just kind of piecing where the sounds of gunshots are coming from. We've come up with maybe 3 areas where what we're doing is we're taking that light tower and we're just kind of swapping back and forth. Like one night we might have it in this location, next night we might have it in that location. So that's definitely also a great help. What I'm asking from you all is that if you would like to have an input in where this light tower is positioned on the midnight tour, I'm definitely all for anyone's suggestions. One particular area we had it, which was actually recommended by the Commissioner McDuffie. And then about maybe 3 days later, we received an email, I guess, with a citizen and their concern of them not wanting the light tower there. So I'm definitely all for suggestions on where you all would like this light tower to be put, because your suggestions are definitely important.
Okay, let me go to questions. I know Ms. Mack had a question. Mack, if you can unmute yourself, please.
Yes, I unmute myself. Hi, how are you today?
Hi.
All right, my question is, I live at 510 Riggs Road Northeast, and we have a police video camera on the back of the pole of my yard. Someone came to do some wiring work and I left, but what they did, they put the camera into the wire on the opposite side of the pole. So if the camera was to circulate, you're not seeing any activity in the alley. Mayor Bowser had that camera put there in our alley because we've been having some shootings. So who should I report this to? And the officer that came out today, he took pictures because my phone, I wasn't that tall. He took pictures, he gave it to me. He said, so just find out who to report this to come and put the camera back the way it was.
Okay, what type of camera is it? Is it, do you see, does it have like a an MPD symbol on it?
Yes, and it has a globe on it.
Okay, a globe. And you're saying that the repositioning of the camera is not, it's not conducive to it being there. So
Right,
you're saying we won't
he removed the entire camera from one side of the pole and placed it on the other side of the pole through a lot of Verizon wire and things they're not finished doing. So it serves no purpose. You don't see anything. You're not gonna capture the alley at all.
Okay, I'll look into that. You said it was 510 Riggs Road. The
Northeast,
CC2,
yeah.
Northeast,
It's at the end of my driveway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the alley.
All right.
One more quick question for Lieutenant
Would you like for me
Savoy.
to send you a picture? The picture
Yes, ma'am. Do you have my email address?
No. Okay, give me your email address, please.
Okay, it's Tatiana, TATJANA .Savoy, which is SAV like Victor OY @dc.gov.
I'm sending it right now. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I finished.
Thank you, Ms. Mack. Any other quick questions for Lieutenant Savoy? Let me give a second for anyone to unmute themselves if they want to. If you're on the phone and you want to raise a question, you can hit *9 to raise your hand, or
Okay,
you can hit *6 to unmute and unmute yourself.
Okay, I have one more question. Is Lieutenant Christian, he's no longer with our ward?
He's retiring this weekend.
Oh, it's this weekend. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. It got back to me. All right, thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank
And
you,
then
Lieutenant.
also, I just want to point one more thing out. If you all are uncomfortable with disclosing certain recommendations to where you want the light tower, please just send it in an email, and then I'll take a look at it that way. I know some people might be uncomfortable with speaking on that.
Right. What I would ask folks to do is that if you have suggestions, then certainly send it to the second Vice President, LaRoya Huff. She's the president, I'm not the president, but she's the chair of our Public Safety Committee. And she has a chance to kind of look at this from a neighborhood perspective to see what's the best uses. But certainly she needs to be informed by any suggestions that you have. And as you can imagine, LaRoya will inform the board, and we would send something on behalf of LRCA to the fourth district so it can be more coordinated. Thank you, Lieutenant Savoy.
Thank you.
There's a
Bye.
question from Mr. Robert Oliver.
Okay, Robert?
Yeah, one quick question, Lieutenant Savoy, and I don't know whether you can address it or not, but this involves the hack of the police department. How bad is it? And what is the city doing to mitigate this happening again?
It looks like she may have jumped off already.
Okay, no problem.
All right, guys, let me go to the mayor's office. I think Anthony Mitchell has joined us. Anthony, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hey, good evening, folks. As
Good
always,
evening.
good to see y'all. I'm gonna try and be nearly as pleasing to look at as Lieutenant Savoy for the next few minutes. I just want to, firstly thank you all for stopping by on Saturday. I know a lot of you were there. I unfortunately wasn't able to make it because I was out of town for a funeral. But I heard good things. I heard a lot of good people out, and a lot of our folks on Lamond-Riggs were definitely supporting, especially since the mayor did a walk of Lamond, was knocking on doors and canvassing as well. So thank you all for your support and showing up and helping our folks get vaccinated. On the same wave of COVID, now homebound residents, I know a lot of folks have asked about that, can go and request the COVID-19 shot to come to them. And so that phone number, and I'll be putting this in the chat as well, is 855-363-0333. Once again, that number is 855-363-0333. You can call that number and request the COVID-19 vaccination to come to you. And that's something that a lot of folks talk about for our homebound residents. We finally were able to get that done. In terms of COVID relief, there's still the Stay DC program, which I encourage folks who have been experienced a hard time with paying their rent or utilities or things like that for the past up to 12 months. Or if you're going to foresee that you need assistance for the next 3 months, you can go to stay.dc.gov and apply for that. It's a simple application that you can fill out and help get some utility assistance. That's money that we got from the federal government for that. And on the other end of the spectrum, with funeral assistance for folks who, maybe like to bury a loved one due to COVID, FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, approved a couple $1 billion so folks can get FEMA funeral assistance. And I can drop that number in the chat as well. But for more information, you can just go to FEMA.gov and apply for those funds and get it sent directly to you. And on the next big thing of updates for phase 2, I only have a minute left, so I'm gonna breeze through this very, very quickly. As of this past Saturday, May 1st, you may have seen this, but a lot of entertainment complexes, bars and restaurants, places of worship, pools and fitness facilities, ceremonies and meetings are now at 50% capacity, because previously we were at 25%. Now we're up to 50% capacity. And as many as 10 people for indoor dining. It used to be 6, now it's going to be 10. Folks are going to be able to have live music and entertainment as well. And for our larger venues, 50% is up to 250 people, just so folks get an idea of that. So, as we're opening back up and we're getting a little bit more vaccinations going and folks are having walk-up clinics available to them, we're now seeing more things open back up. And the last thing I'm going to mention on reopening is that starting June 1st, all parking enforcement with DPW is going to start back up. On July 1st, they're going to start booting vehicles, checking for driver's licenses, IDs, as well as renewing applications for occupational and professional licenses will be able to be something that you can do at the DMV. And on that same vein, the ticket amnesty program that the mayor announced earlier last week, well, earlier this past month, was that now between June 1st and September 30th, you'll have a ticket amnesty, which means that you won't accrue any interest or penalties on your ticket if they're late. That's parking tickets, moving vehicle violations, anything like that. But after September 30th, that's when we're going to see those penalties start to get added. So as we're opening back up, we're encouraging folks to go ahead and take care of your business before we get back at 100%. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, folks, if you have one or two quick questions for Anthony.
Yeah, this is Robert Oliver. This has to do with the Lamond-Riggs Library construction site
Yes,
at
sir.
5401 South Dakota Avenue.
Yes, sir.
The problem is that there is a Ford Explorer there that's been parked there for at least 8 weeks.
Okay.
It has the license number Briscoe, the actual spelling Briscoe. And they've been trying to get that moved because they take heavy equipment in and outside of that yard. And it makes it very difficult for them to get the longer vehicles in there without hitting that vehicle. Nobody wants to hit it, but the city has been notified of this and nothing has been done so far. Is it possible that you can notify the right people to get this or at least towed to a different spot? It doesn't have to be taken away, but just towed to where it's not a problem.
Yeah, I can reach out to DPW and have them either tow it or ticket it or reach out to the owner and have him remove it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can actually see it out my window, and I know exactly what you're talking about. So I can follow up with that right now.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Another quick question for Anthony, please.
Yeah. Hi, Anthony. This is Edwin with the Parks Main Street. Just a quick question. Hi. Just wanted to get some clarity. You mentioned earlier about the loosened restrictions.
Yes,
and in
sir.
particular, I want to, the question is about the VIP room,
Yes, sir.
which is done over in the Manor Park section of our commercial corridor. They're an event venue, as you know, and certainly the LRCA had its 70th anniversary there and been before. How does it affect them in terms of the ability for them to have, from a capacity standpoint?
Yeah. So the largest capacity for ceremonies and meetings. So when you think of like weddings, special events, birthday parties, things like that, like we were just talking with the 70th anniversary. The largest capacity that will be allowed will be 250 people. And 250 people or 25% capacity.
25%. Okay.
Whichever one is less.
Gotcha.
You got me?
Thank you.
No problem.
Anthony, thank you very much. We're going to move to Councilmember McDuffie's office.
Thank you all.
Brett Allen here from Councilmember McDuffie's office.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Brett, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good, sir. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Good evening, folks. Anthony actually stole some of my thunder here. I had many of those announcements. I think somebody might need to mute.
Sherry got on told us that they needed to come out. She said it's on her light pole. She gave her.
Hello, whoever is, could you mute yourself, please? We hear the background noise. Thank you.
All right, I'll continue. Yeah, so as not to go over some of the things Anthony mentioned, I will say that there are 11 new vaccine, or not new vaccine, 11 vaccine centers that are operating in walk-ins. 3 of them are in Ward 5. Those would be the Langdon Park Community Center, Providence Health System, and Turkey Thicket. And so, you know, I encourage everyone to continue to get folks vaccinated. There's a lot of hesitancy out there, but you know, it's an ongoing thing. Also, let's see. As for the budget, And council hearings, the mayor's budget is still on schedule for the 27th of May. Our budget hearing, the budget dates for hearings have yet to be released officially, so just stay tuned. And the council member will release his May news, or I'm sorry, May report within the next couple of days. So I'll send it over to you, Rodney, and you can get it out to your members.
Yes. Okay, Brett, can you take 1 or 2 quick questions?
Sure.
Folks, questions for Brett from Councilmember McDuffie's office? Going once?
Hi, this is Lavaria Huff. I know that, and I know that Council Member George is working with McDuffie to work on the building blocks. I may have the wrong term as it relates to public safety.
Yeah, it's building blocks.
Have not been announced. However, McDuffie has committed to working with me in the plan because our ward abates each other right there at Kennedy Street. So I just want to make sure that we get, consideration, high consideration based on our past history and the issues that are facing right now. We don't want to come to any more murders, but we've had a high amount of crime, homicide, and so we don't want to get away from our community being considered for that. So
thank you, Commissioner Huff.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Brett?
Yeah, I will. Well, can you tell me, are you working with anyone in our council? For instance, Kelly Sislo or Silas at this point?
No, but I have talked to Silas and I'll engage with Silas again. But yes, I will do that. I did mention it to our council member when she came out, and so she's well aware of it. They've been working and talking, but we definitely want to make sure that we address this community and being considered highly.
Thank you, Laura. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I will have Silas reach out to you. That's our intent as well, to make sure that
Okay, great.
There's covered.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys, I'm mindful of the timing, so Brett, thank you very much, and thank
Absolutely.
you and certainly Edwin and certainly Lieutenant Savoy for spending time with us this afternoon. I'm going to go to Councilmember Lewis George's office. It's normally Matthew. Is Matthew or anyone from Councilmember Lewis George's office with us?
Tamira Benitez is here with you today.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'll be quick as I see that we're short in time.
Yes.
The main thing that I wanted to share with the community are some updates about communications with our office, some legislative updates, and some, I think, vaccine updates were covered already, so I'm going to skip over those. The main thing that I want to share with you from the communications point of view is that we finally have a website, some highlights, sections to highlight. Ward 4 has lots of information about our beautiful ward. Constituent services, if you need support with constituent services, there is a space for you to request that. Meeting requests with the council member as well, and lots of community resources and many other ways in which you can interact with our office. This website is meant to be interactive. If you want to add a resource that should be in here, if you want to submit a Word 4 picture, or if you want to change anything in there, please email us and we're happy to make sure to make those changes. This resource is meant to be this page is meant to be a resource to the community, so we want to make sure that it responds to your needs.
Thank you. Go ahead.
In the legislative fronts, Tuesday we have a meeting that has several important issues. The first vote on the comp plan is going to happen. Council member has been working with the chairman to ensure that we address the community needs. We're talking about affordable housing and safeguards, anything against displacement. She voted present in the first time that it came out in the community of the whole due to concerns with the displacements and other racial inequalities that we saw in the.
All right, that's
report.
All right, just give me one quick second. Hello, if you're not speaking, can you please mute yourself? If you're not speaking, please mute yourself. Continue.
Ward 4, school budgets. The council is voting on emergency legislation to require DCPS to hold harmless the budgets for all its schools, fund them at the same level as last year or higher. However, 4 of our schools are not being protected by this legislation: Brightwood, LaSalle, Tacoma, and Whittier. So council members introducing legislation to amend introducing an amendment to make sure that those schools get to keep the budget for the remaining grade levels. So making sure that they are protected. Another important one, the public health emergency. There is a tentative date on the agenda to extend it to July 15th. This is important because May 20th is when it's supposed to expire. And we know that many protections that we have are tied to the public health emergency. We're talking about the eviction moratorium. We're talking about
Hi, guys, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Just one
If
moment.
you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Tamara, before you
Can't you
start
just
speaking,
mute
I'm gonna mute
everyone
everyone.
except for Tamira?
one more time. I'm unmuted. Wonderful. Last 3 things that I'm going to mention. May 5th and May 12th, there will be a hearing for unemployment benefits by Councilmember Silverman, who is the chair of on the Committee on Labor. It's very important that anyone that you know that has struggled through the unemployment process, please send them that, tell them to testify, tell them to share what you know their concerns have been, because this is a time for us to be able to help DOES provide the support that is needed.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Tamara, just one quick second. Can you kind of wrap it up for us? We are kind of running over time here.
Definitely. I'll finish up the last 2 updates that I have on the chat, but I'll just say what it is, and then I'll put the links on the chat. So. May 13th, roundtable on traffic fatalities and Vision Zero. May 20th, bill hearings on police reform legislation. I'll put the rest on the chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and you have a quick second. We have a number of people who don't access the chat either because you're on the phone or technically they don't do it. Can you give us the email, I'm sorry, the website address that you mentioned before?
Happy to. So the email address, I'm sorry, the website is JaniceWard4.com. I'll spell that out for you. JANEESEWARD4.com.
Okay, thank you much. And thank you for joining with us, Tamara.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Let me switch to the agency commissioners. Is Chairman Brooks with us? I thought I saw her smiling face earlier.
I am here.
After you.
Thank you. Well, it sounds like most of my updates have already been given. I want to encourage people to participate in the actual ANC meetings. They're held on the 4th Monday of the month. There is a website, anc4b.com, which has our Zoom information so you can log into the meeting. In addition to that, for 4B08, which is my SMD, I host a monthly meeting on the 3rd Saturday of each month at 12 o'clock. I send that information out via email and through my newsletter. If you're not receiving a newsletter, please contact me at 240-423-0826 so that I can make sure that you are on my list. And in the last meeting, quick overview, we reviewed arbor licenses as well as traffic concerns in the community. So one of the concerns is at North Capitol and Longfellow, Northeast and Northwest. And there was a notice of intent provided last year by DDOT to indicate that they were going to change the one-way direction on Longfellow Northeast, as well as install flexi rods on North Capitol Street. And it's come to my attention today that construction on North Capitol Street will be completed in the next week. So people should be seeing the flexi rods up soon.
Okay.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I can stop there. And if anyone has a question, I can answer those questions.
Any quick questions, 1 or 2 questions for ANC 4B Chair Brooks? I'll give people another second in case they want to unmute themselves. And if you're on the phone, you can hit *6 to unmute yourself or to mute yourself if you have any questions. Okay, hearing none, let me go to Commissioner Huff.
Hello, everyone. Just wanted to say happy pre-Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Same to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So on Saturday, there'll be movie night on the field. So I hope you guys can all come out. The movie Soul will be played, working down to find some donations. The community walkthrough. Same day we had the cleanup on Earth Day on the 24th. So our council member got to see up close one issue because she didn't have as much time as I originally thought, but she got to see the area on 4th Street. So we have her backing and support with that. There was a resolution presented on the consent calendar for the removal of the storage bins. Obviously, you guys know by now that the playground now is open. However, those storage bins have not been removed. It was agreed at that time that there were 3. One got removed, one was to be removed, and the other was to be relocated. That had to do with the high infestation of rodents, and the neighbors on that 500 block of Nicholson Street were affected. Also, 5/20, that's the 3rd Thursday of the month. I've asked DPR to come out to discuss. I've heard from residents some things that they like to see, i.e. track and some other things interiorly and externally at our site. And so I need your support. It seems that I'm the only one that they're saying that they hear from, but I hear it all the time. People want access to the field and some other things. So I'll probably put out something, and of course you can reach out to me for things you'd like to see. And ways, of course, we work with MPD for safety. I've noticed that some adults have begun to sit on the swings. And, you know, I talked to Settles earlier about signage. You know, this is for children. The playgrounds that we have right now are children playgrounds. So the last thing we want to do is have adults swinging on the swings, breaking what we just got, looking to see whether we can get those rocks removed and put real pavement. I did talk to the council member about that. Also, next month, there'll be a resolution for speed bumps on Kennedy Street. And Allison and I are working on 3rd Street. So there's that area with a roundabout. 400 block of Kennedy on the odd side has submitted traffic calming measure. But I want to talk to the residents all the way to Eastern Avenue to get their take. That's it for me. I did make a pretty comprehensive list that I shared with the council member, and I'll go back over. There's obviously things to add on. I want to say thank you to all the residents for keeping our community clean. I'm working with everyone to make sure that, you know, the dog poop is picked up, you know, trash cans are put back. This is our community, and if we want to work toward getting our rodents out of our community, we need everybody to participate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Commissioner Huff. Commissioner Fletcher. Commissioner Fletcher, Commissioner McDuffie. Commissioner McDuffie, Commissioner Brombergen. Commissioner Brombergen. Okay, hearing nothing from those other commissioners, and I'm quite sure they're probably crazy busy like the rest of us. I'm going to move the agenda to the office reports, the minutes, and the treasurer. If you could refer to the newsletter, you see the minutes there. I would ask that we have one correction in Danielle Lewis Wright's name, and I will make that correction. Are there any other additions or corrections to the minutes?
Yes, this is David. Can you hear me?
Yes.
In the part of the minutes that discusses the bylaws discussion, there was towards the end a statement that members or community members should contact a board member if they wanted to chair the actual committee for the bylaws. And during the discussion, it was more so that members should contact a board member if they're interested in participating. So I wanted to make sure that that correction was there.
Oh, sure. So interested in participating as well. Got it. Any other additions or corrections? Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes with the correction in Daniel Lewis's Wright's name and to add that members who were interested in being on the bylaws committee should also contact the board?
I make a motion that the minutes be accepted.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those abstain, say abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, one abstention, got you. Anyone not in favor of accepting the minutes? Any no votes? Okay, we're gonna go to the treasurer's reports. Tanya, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. LRCA ended March with $9,656.76. We had deposits from both PayPal and checks of $490. Withdrawals of $229, mostly paid for flyers and Zoom meetings, leaving us with a balance of $9,917.96. The board.
Anything else, Tanya?
That's it.
Okay. Any questions for the treasurer?
Their motion.
Well, let me see if any questions first. Any questions for the treasurer? Okay, here no questions. Can I get it?
Oh, no, there was a question. I saw a question pop through. There were newsletters given out. We had newsletters that were printed.
Okay. There's a motion been made. I'm sorry, did anyone make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented?
No, not Chair. I make a motion that the treasurer's report be accepted.
Can I get a second?
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any no votes? Okay, thank you much. The treasurer's report has passed. Now we're going to introduce the issue of the Tacoma Park Liquor Store. Most of us.
Rodney, you're muted if you're talking.
Rodney, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So this is about the liquor store that's on Eastern, I believe, Rittenhouse. Their liquor license is up for renewal with Abra. We have an opportunity to oppose and protest the renewal of the liquor license. And there's a gentleman who lives across the street, Mr. Ferran, that's going to share with us like a 2 or 3 minute presentation about the liquor store. And we're going to ask for a motion to allow us to actually protest the license. And I'm going to share my screen with him as well, so just bear with me. Mr. Ferran?
Yes, I'm here.
Give me a quick second while I find you on the participants list for us to share screen, okay?
Very good.
There you are. Stop video spotlight for everyone. So I see you on the participants list. I don't see you. I don't see that I'm able to. Oh, I think you could do it yourself now. Angie just made you a co-host. Thanks, Angie.
Okay. May I begin?
Yes, we actually see you. You're a co-host now, so I believe you can share your screen.
Very good. Screen on?
Not yet, but we see you.
At the very bottom of your screen, there should be a bar. In the center of that bar, you'll see something that says screen share.
You know.
I did indeed share.
It's the only green icon.
Yeah, I clicked on that. Are we good now?
No, we still see you.
Someone
you know,
else come up the presentation?
Say that again, Angie.
I didn't say it, but do you have the presentation,
It's
Rodney?
loading now. It's there.
Yeah, I said that.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ferran.
Okay. Are we sharing?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not getting the sharing.
We see it on the screen, so if you have the hard copy there, or if you have it on your computer, you could just start with that, but we see it on our screens.
Okay. Let's see from beginning. There we go. Okay, this is giving an overview of what's going on with the Tacoma Park Liquors, what's happening in the area, and the appropriate way to protest the license. As an applicant has to meet appropriate standards, and we'll list them as we go along in the entrance of speed. The first thing is values, effective property values. This is the subject property across the street from the liquor store. It was recently sold in 2018, 5-bedroom. It sold for $479. A comparable property, 165 yards away from the subject property, sold for $27,000 more. Another comparable, 316 yards away from the subject property, sold for $36,000 more. Third comparable property at 308 Quackenboss, 164 yards away, sold for $152,000 more than the subject property.
Sure,
And yet-
Mr. Ferran, in the interest of time, sir, I think that you and I talked earlier, so I think that we understand that there could be a desperate impact on our property values with the liquor store. Can you proceed to the other screens, please?
Yes, I'm just identifying the two properties. The first one was on Rittenhouse, the second one is on Third. Also, all of them received significant reductions in values. This is the appropriate standards for vehicular and pedestrian safety. If you notice, a delivery truck is parked in the middle of the street. Cars cannot get by, one car making a U-turn, problems accessing. Here, another delivery truck is blocking the street. Here's a second as well, presenting problems for the neighborhood and passageway. Residential parking, of course, is always a problem. Here's a tractor trailer blocking my driveway, also parked in the wrong side of the street. Here's another customer parked in the pedestrian walkway. Here's another customer from Maryland blocking the driveway. Here is a video of a customer, not untypical. This is our Mercedes parked in front of my driveway between the two stanchion sections. If you notice, a truck across the street came and parked illegally right here. Here's the customer coming back to her car. If you can hear the music playing, it's playing from her car. She gets in it and drives away.
Okay.
So this is typical.
Mr. Ferrand, are you able to go to your other screens?
Yes, we're going now.
Okay.
I'm within the 3 minutes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, appropriate standards, important hours of operation. This is one thing that the president is really concerned about, in the fact that we have 2 liquor stores prominent in Georgetown, have restricted hours from 10 to 6:30, and on Sunday from 12 to 6. The other one, Potomac Wine and Liquors in Georgetown, M Street, is closed completely on Sundays, and the hours are restricted, 10 to 6:30. However, Tacoma Park Liquors has operating hours authorized from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. That's 17 hours a day, every day. We are suggesting that they reduce that standard to being closed on Sunday altogether and only open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
So guys, I actually did a brief survey at 2 other liquor stores in DC near here. And those 2 other liquor stores, one was on Kennedy Street. I forgot the location of the second one, but their hours were generally 10 or 11 a.m. to about maybe 9 or 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday. They did not have any Sunday hours. And so this liquor store, clearly for what's around us, is kind of an outlier. So let me start there taking the questions that folks have. And either I or Mr. Ferrand or ANC Commissioner Brooks, where this liquor store lies in a single member district, will respond. Any quick questions for folks?
Yes, this is Robert Oliver. I think that we need to either talk to a liquor store or get some information from Apple as to when the hearings are going to start, because we don't want to get too involved in this and find out that there's not a whole lot that we can really do because of, say, for instance, the liquor store may have a right to do this. I don't know. And obviously, it's problematic, and there's other things that are going wrong, but I think we need to look at both sides of this before we make a decision tonight.
I'm going to ask Commissioner Brooks if you can respond.
Yes. So I'm not sure I remember every part of your question. So if I'm leaving something out, please prompt me. With regard to the period in which you can respond, you have until May 10th to submit a written protest to the license, which will be reviewed by ABRA in June. And I'm sorry, I don't have the exact date in front of me, but I can get that for you. And then with regard to the hours, they have the right to have those hours only because those hours were not addressed in the settlement agreement that they currently hold. The hearing, I looked it up, I'm sorry, the hearing is actually on June 7th, but your petitions and letter of opposition or support have to be filed on or before May 10th.
Yeah, and Robert, just by way of background, the Chairman Brooks and I and Mr. Ferrand kind of talked about this even before we put it on the agenda. So we do have some sense of what the process is, and we're looking for other suggestions on how to improve that liquor store. Other questions, I see one in the chat from Leroy LaRue. There's a settlement agreement in place. Commissioner Brooks, would you want to take this one as well?
Yeah, the settlement agreement is in place. It is posted in the liquor store and it's public information. Anybody can look at it at any time. I have a copy of it. If anyone wants me to email it to them, I'm happy to do that. It was put in place in 2015 and lives in perpetuity. The concern was on my part that if it's opened up and attempted to be renegotiated, he didn't have to agree to that either, right? And I didn't want to be in a position where we were left without a settlement agreement.
Any other quick questions on this item?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Yes, this is Marcia Pender. Has MPD been notified when they're parked in front of your house or parked illegally?
Yes, they've been notified on a number of occasions. However, it is up to the discretion of an individual officer as to whether or not he will issue a ticket or take any action at all. In fact, on several occasions, I've called them and gotten a response. For instance, like when they were in the parked in the middle of the street, I saw a scout car drive up to the incident, made a U-turn and left. So over the years, both the MPD and the parking enforcement have attempted to enforce parking regulations on that street and have both given up. On rare occasions, you have one individual from the police department that will come there, sound his alarm, and if they don't come out, he will walk out and begin to write a ticket. And when somebody comes out of the store, he regresses and goes back in his car.
Okay.
So that's it.
Thanks, Mr. Ferran. If there are no more quick questions, I would ask for a motion to protest the liquor license based on the above, and to ask them, my suggestion is that they reduce the hours from Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m., I believe. Let them reduce those hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's more in line with the other liquor stores nearby. I would also add that we should ask them to reduce their hours so that they're operational hours, so that they're actually closed on Sundays. So can I have a motion to do either of those? And it can be one motion that includes both. Now, you guys, you're not shy, so.
I make a motion to protest the license without a doubt. And the negotiation aspect takes place with the mediation portion of the process. The process is an arduous process, and we do need support from the entire community to make an impact on the board.
Yes, good point, Mr. Ferran. Any seconded to his motion?
Second. Hi, this is David. Can you hear me?
Second.
Okay, we've got a second. There's a question in chat, so hold on. This is from Tanya Hutchinson. She would like to see She would like to see no parking signs on the curb. Was that you, David, for a question as well? Okay, so there's a motion on the floor.
This is Allison. This is Allison. I can work on no parking signs that has nothing to do with Auburn. That's a DDOT request. So I can work on that.
Okay, I see a question from John Miller. John, can you unmute yourself if you're on the phone?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you with us?
I just wanted to, and sorry, I'm getting some feedback. I just wanted to know, I just would be concerned about, asking the liquor store to restrict. I don't know if it'll stop the parking issue to restrict certain hours. And I am concerned about restricting on Sunday. I mean, one thought I have is, we really want to support local businesses, and, the Walmart is now selling wine and beer. And I don't want to put our local businesses on unequal footing with Walmart, so that more people, end up going to Walmart rather than supporting people who live in, people from the neighborhood. But I would be supportive of, no parking signs and, any other like traffic calming measures. I just don't want to push those businesses out of the area and direct more traffic to Walmart.
Okay. And when Allison and Mr. Ferran and I spoke about this before, part of this was a strategy. And oftentimes you'd have to say, close it down in order to get the owner's attention, and kind of use that as leverage to negotiate some of the things that we really, really want. But you got to protest it first, because if you don't, then you never get to the negotiating stages.
Mm-hmm.
Was that you, Allison?
This is Allison. Yeah, I just wanted to point out that part of what people are upset about is actually not under the control of the liquor store. And I just want to be fair to them in that regard.
Right.
Where people park their cars is not something that the liquor store can control. Right. Of course, they can post signs and tell people to park legally. Of course, they can tell people to be mindful. But where people actually park, whether we have no parking signs or not, unless MPD is enforcing the penalty related to that illegal parking, the sign is not going to mean much.
So part of that is an enforcement issue.
Right, that's an enforcement issue. It's not an Auburn issue, and it's not a liquor store issue. In our meeting with them in April, I did ask him to speak with his delivery drivers and salespeople to address the illegal parking of the trucks. And it's not so much that it's illegal, it's that it's a narrow street and there's nowhere else for them to go. right? So we asked that they stop on Eastern and not on Rittenhouse. And Mr. Patel agreed to do that. Now, whether or not they will abide by that is a different issue altogether, but he did agree to ask for it.
Okay, so guys, I'm mindful of the time, and I just wanted to remind you that the first step in this process is to protest the renewal. And then that gives us an opportunity to kind of strategize or to figure out what specifically that, as Allison said, is in their control that we can ask them to do. So there's a motion on the floor to protest the license renewal. Did I hear a second?
Second in motion.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any opposed?
I oppose.
Okay, one opposed.
Can
Any
you, on what
abstentions?
grounds are we protesting?
I
oppose.
Yeah, what grounds are we protesting?
Sure, just one question at a time, please. So Mr. Ferrand just kind of walked through the grounds in which people can protest. It can be based on property values. It can be based on traffic and pedestrian safety. So he went through those. And so the first thing is to say, hey, we protest, and we can use the information that he just went through. So I got.
But his data was based on a very limited subset of information. So again,
Oh, I understand. So it's a great question. There was a motion made, it was seconded. We voted, and so there were 2 oppositions, no abstention, and the motion passed. And so I'm asking for folks, if you're interested in working on this issue, because it is a long process, but please contact any board member as soon as possible. The next step for us is to draft the protest letter and send it into the ABC board, or ABRA as it's known, by that date in May, and then there's going to be a series of hearings and other things that we need to participate in. Let me go to the next agenda item, and that's with the nominating committee. Tanya, you and your team are up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Unmute, okay. Can you really hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Okay. Would like to introduce some of the candidates and the position, go over the positions that they're running for. Candidates, if you are there, please speak up. We're going to allow you initially 1 minute to introduce yourself. Please tell us who you are, where you live, and why you are going for the position that you're going for. So we will start with the presidential candidates. Is Rodney Foxworth there?
Association. Most of you know that this is my second time around. I was president about 10 years ago. I live right beside Five Guys, so I'm putting on a lot of COVID weight with all the good food that they serve there. And I'm running for re-election because I really think that LRCA has an opportunity to come out of this COVID pandemic stronger than what we went in. I think that we've got a responsibility to share information with everyone. Our role is to provide the community with facts as opposed to false and misleading information so that the community can make an informed decision. I think LRCA must be transparent, no secret deals and no things that are done by leadership in any capacity that are under the table. And then lastly, we'll represent everyone, including those longtime residents that have helped build this community and make it what it is. And those new residents who respect what we have built, respect the culture, and want to add value to what we're doing now. So that's why I'm running. Tanya, we can't hear you on this end.
Thank you, Rodney. Hi, Barbara Rogers. Are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Barbara, please
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello, Lamond-Riggs family. For those of you who know me, I just like Rodney, we both are past presidents and we are both past ANC commissioners. And I am running because I got several requests everywhere. If I was at the grocery store, walking, doing my daily walk, I got requests from residents to run again. As you all may know, I've been retired for a few years. I retired from being an ANC commissioner, although I'm still involved in my community. And I do want to start off by saying that I would never run a negative campaign. If I have to tear someone else down to lift myself up, then that is not good. Secondly, I think my record will speak for itself. As previous president of LRCA for 2 terms, we got a lot of work done. We started our website. We revived many committees. We got a lot of work done. The biggest thing I think was the development task force. We had some great people that worked with development that was coming in our neighborhood to keep the neighborhood informed on development that was coming. I take no credit though for the work that was done because there's no I in team. It is a group effort. I worked with a great exec board that did work. And so I do want to thank like the past exec board, and I even want to thank the current exec board. And as I said on my flyer, I'm running on integrity and I'm running on truthfulness. So I want people to vote their conscience. If you're satisfied with the way LRCA is at this point, then please vote for my opponent. But if you want change, I think our community deserves peace, transparency, and we need to include all residents. We are truly one community. I ask for your vote to vote for me, Barbara Rogers, for president of LRCA. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Sure.
The next position is first vice president. At this time, we have one person running for first vice president. That's LaRoya Huff. LaRoya, you have 1 minute. LaRoya, are you there?
All right, guys. Hi, my name is LaRoya Huff, and many of you know me. I am a lifelong resident of Riggs Park, and the reason I'm running is because I believe in this community. I love this community. I love the neighbors, old and new. I like the energy that we have, and there are things that we need to do to be more cohesive and engaging. And so I am running to work, continue to work for the residents that I would serve. So I ask your vote for first vice president of LRCA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, LaRoya. Next up, we have the second vice president position. We have one person running. That is Sierra Dickerson. Sierra, are you there? I don't hear anything from Sierra, so we're going to move on to the next position, which is treasurer.
Yeah, hey,
We do
Tanya.
not have-
Tanya,
Go
just a
ahead.
quick second. Sierra probably won't be able to join us. She has a family emergency.
Okay, thank you. The next position is treasurer. We do not have anyone running for treasurer. And now we have, and after that, we have recording secretary. For recording secretary, we have Martine. Is Martine there?
Yes.
Hi, Martine. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rabiha Mateen, and I live on 3rd and Quintana. I've been a resident in this area for almost 30 years, where I've been active in Citizens Aware, which is a block association of Lamond-Riggs. I am running because I definitely believe in the importance of community service, as well as just standing up and being able to contribute to community efforts. I also believe in the community first team principles in terms of transparency, as well as teamwork. So I look forward to accepting the nomination if in fact the body would have me. That's about it.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. We now have the position of corresponding secretary.
Tanya,
which
there's
we
a
do not have anyone
bunch
that's
of folks trying to nominate folks from the floor for open
Okay.
positions.
Yes. Can we go through who we have and then take nominations from the floor? Is that okay?
As long as it's going to be part of the process somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. So we do not have anyone on the ballot for that position. The current trustees that we have on the ballot are Heather Rogers. Is Heather Rogers there?
Yes, hey, can everybody, there we go. I hope that you can all see me and hear me.
Hi, Heather, you introduce yourself.
Good, hey, my name is Heather Rogers. I am one of the more relatively newer members of Lamond-Riggs. My husband and I, along with our new baby girl, live on the 700 block of Kennedy. One of the reasons that I was so excited to move to this neighborhood is the longstanding tradition of all neighbors coming together and doing things for the community and getting involved. I'm running because I hope to continue that tradition and work together with longstanding neighbors. I love the neighbors that I have met. A lot of the people I've worked with on LRCA about things and talked with. And I hope to ensure that our board is representative of all neighbors and everyone that wants to work together to continue the work of LRCA and make it inclusive.
Thank you so much, Heather. The next person we have that's interested in running for trustee, is it Danielle Lewis, right?
That's me. Yeah.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi.
You have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Sure. So good evening, everyone. I am Danielle Lewis, right? And this is my darling Olive. And I am running for trustee because I really love the community that I live in. I am a proud member, resident of Riggs Park. I've been here for almost close to 5 years in the district for over a decade. My husband and I have our beautiful daughter, Olive, and I really believe in the importance of networking with our neighbors and really building a community in which we are putting all of us in our neighborhood first in what we do and making sure that we move forward. I talk to community members from folks who've been here for 70 years or 7 months, and everyone has equal value and footing. I'm also a firm believer in actively listening to others and hearing their input and really thinking about the consensus of everyone and in the best interest of the entire community. Also, what's important to me is the need for transparency and fairness and respect of others in action, not just have those to be words, but it's actually illustrated in what we do. In terms of other civic association.
Thank you, Danielle. We're coming up to the 1 minute point.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Sherilyn Mack, are you there? Miss Mack, are you there?
Wait a minute. Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I had to unmute.
You have 1 minute.
Oh, I am running again for treasury for the Riggs Park area. I've been a resident for almost 30 years. I love my community, and I will do everything in my power to get us to where we are, to where we should be. And I love volunteering. I love working with the committee. That's it.
Thank you very much, Sherilyn. The next person we have is James Gaston. Mr. Gaston, you have the floor for 1 minute. Mr. Gaston, are you there? We'll move on to Patrice Richardson. Patrice, are you there?
Yes.
Hi, Patrice. Please introduce yourself. You have 1 minute.
Hello, my name is Patrice Richardson, and I am interested in being a trustee. I've lived in this neighborhood for 59 years. I've seen the come and the goes of this neighborhood. I love community team approach, service, life, voice for all. And I also feel that I'm a balance between the pros and the cons and the balance between government, federal, district, as well as private industry with my experience. I like to see the neighborhood grow. I like to see the neighborhood respect the elders and the young so we can have a viable community in the Lamond-Riggs area. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. Is Reverend Johnny Mays available? Are you there, Johnny Mays? Let's move on to.
I'm here. I was trying to unmute.
Okay, you have 1 minute.
All right. Hi, my name is Johnny
Please
Mays.
introduce.
My name is Reverend Dr. Johnny Mays. I have lived in this community for 49 years. I love my community. And I like doing things to help seniors and children. I enjoy being a part of the civic organization and enjoy doing whatever I can do to help to make it better.
Thank you, Reverend Mays. Is Edgar Allen Shepherd available?
Yes, my name is Edgar Allen Shepherd. I'm a deacon at my church. Been in the military for over 25 years, retired. And the key word with me is service. I enjoy working as president, as a recording secretary, and would like to continue serving this community, which I've been in for about 21 years. I live on Chillum Place. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Is Reverend Paul Smith there?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Reverend Paul Smith. I've moved into the neighborhood 1994, and since then I fell in love with all those in my community. My motto is, if I can help somebody, then my living will not be in vain. I don't believe in always having to be up in front. I do a lot of things in my ministry as well as in the community behind the scenes. And my strongest gift, I believe, is trying to create harmony, peace, so that we can all strive to make our community the best it can. So I'm looking forward to doing another season. This season has been very interesting and challenging, but we certainly have hope, and we certainly like to spread that hope in the community.
Thank you, Reverend May. I'm sorry. Thank you, Reverend Paul Smith. Are there any now we're going to look at nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations from the floor for president? And I will tell you now, I'm having difficult seeing if anybody is on the side. Okay, I'm having difficulty seeing if anybody is on the side. So are there any nominations from the floor for president?
We have two people with their hands raised, Mr. Oliver and Theodore.
Mr. Oliver, please.
I'm sorry, this is Robert Oliver. I'm not raising my hand to run because technically I'm outside of the scope of LRCA. But what I'm asking is that if it's technically possible, can you take this session in which people are giving testimonials and somehow capture that so that those who miss this can replay it later at their own convenience? Like I said, I don't know if that's possible. Give it a shot, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you. The Zoom meeting is being recorded. Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to nominate someone from the floor?
Yeah. Yes, I'm Theodore. Can I speak?
You got.
Can I speak? I'm Theodore.
Theodore, you would like to nominate someone from the floor for president?
Not for president, but I want to nominate myself.
I will get to each.
Okay.
If
okay.
you'll just.
So I'll wait. I'll wait. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who would like to nominate someone from the floor for vice president? First vice president. Any nominees from the floor for second vice president? Any nominees from the floor, nominations from the floor for treasurer?
Tanya, I think
Any
there's a nomination in the chat that I think was for VP. It was hard to say, from Dave LaCroix.
For treasurer?
It looks like the nomination is David Koslab for VP.
Is David Koslab there? Are you there?
Probably David Kossab, which is me, and I will respectfully decline VP, but I'm happy to run for a trustee position if there's someone that nominates me for that.
Thank you. Is there a nomination from the floor for recording secretary? Is there a nomination from the floor for corresponding secretary? Now the floor is open for nominations for trustee.
Yeah.
David, you said you would like to run for trustee?
Yeah, Theodore. Theodore Ngashu. I live on 240 Quackenball Street, Northeast.
And I just want to make sure I have your name spelled correctly. Could you spell your name, please?
Theodore Ngashu is going to be like N as in Nancy, G as in George, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, C, H as in house, O as in orange, and U as in union.
And you have a minute to tell us about yourself. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce myself. You know, I've been in the community now for pretty much like 10 years. I live on 240 Quackenball Street, Northeast. And the reason why I'm running, and we run Renaissance Center for Culture and Education, by the way, and we focus on people left behind, you know, so like people with handicap or limited access to English and so on. So the reason why I'm running is to bring more flavor to our organization. That's the main reason why I'm running, you know, to bring international flavor to our organization, to make our organization be more colorful. That's the reason why I'm running, you know, because we have many Africans, we have many people of colors from everywhere. We need to take this into consideration today. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
one thing also, those who are left behind, those who have handicaps, you know, I don't see them so often in the meeting. So, but we in the Renaissance, we know how to deal with them and to empower them to come to meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other nominees from the floor?
Would you like me to introduce myself too?
Please, David, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. David Kossab. I am going on my 50th month here at Riggs Park, and I truly enjoy living here in this neighborhood and definitely want to do everything I can to give back. I've participated with the Main Street and also, engaging neighbors to work on the traffic signal so we can have create a safe and, pedestrian-friendly environment. And also here to represent lifelong Jeffersonians like my daughter, who's born and raised here in Riggs Park, and she's very, very pro playground and very pro small business daycares in the neighborhood, and like to definitely represent some of the issues that new families here are experiencing, and definitely look forward to continuing to support the neighborhood and bring some rigorous and more thought-provoking decision making back to the board.
Thank you very much, David.
Tanya, I typed in Paquita Wiggins. I nominate her for trustee.
Is Paquita available?
Yes, I am available. How you doing?
Hi, Paquita, please introduce yourself. Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
How you doing? My name is Paquita Wiggins. I moved to DC, to this area over 20 years ago from Tuskegee by way of Chicago. But I love this neighborhood. I love living in Ward 4. I'm a licensed architect and a contractor and a business owner here in the district. And I want to create more community and do more outreach to the entire community, because it's kind of like we're all in little pockets now, stuck online. So I want to create activities for the community so that we can interact more socially and engage more with our politicians so that we can have our voices heard also. So that's what I am. That's why I want to be nominated.
Thank you, Paquita.
Tanya,
Are there
I
any-
nominated Lisa Brannick Ray.
Hi, Lisa Brannick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm not running for anything.
Aw.
I'm not running. Sorry.
Any other nominees for any positions?
Tanya, I'd like to nominate Audrey Walker for trustee.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm here.
There.
Yes.
Hi, Andre, can you introduce yourself? You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Audrey Walker. Thank you for this opportunity to be nominated as a trustee. First and foremost, I'm a mother of 2 children that attend DC public schools and have been raised in the Lamond-Riggs neighborhood for most of their lives. I live right off of Chilling Place, and as a DC native, I consider this opportunity to be nominated an honor. I've lived in Lamond-Riggs for over 12 years, and I've lived in Ward 4 all of my life. I absolutely love the neighborhood. I love how accessible the resources are, which is why I've stayed in the neighborhood so long. I'm a former DCPS teacher. I've taught at LaSalle 5th graders, and I currently direct educational and family programs for a local nonprofit where I have a lot of experience working directly with members of the community and advocating for their needs, especially for children. It's been interesting to see the neighborhood change and grow, although it doesn't feel really good not to have an active voice outside of voting. Sorry, just for the feedback. I'm pleased to accept this nomination, and if accepted, I will work very hard to support the mission and goals of the LRCA. And being a resident of this community is very important that I work more closely with the members of the community to affect change and growth, again, especially for our children. I will appreciate your vote and make sure to bring fresh and new ideas to the table in a collaborative nature. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Okay, that looks like that is going to be our slate for our 2021 fall elections. I did have 2 questions for the presidents. Presidents, are you still the presidential candidates? Are you still there?
Yes.
People would like to know, after COVID, what will you do to bring the community together? Can you give us an answer in 1 minute? First, Rodney.
Yeah, when I was president before, we had a visioning session, and we had over 85 people spend about 6 hours with us to craft a shared vision for this community. That included elderly, it included kids, it included teens, it included newcomers, and those who had been here for a while. So I think that's one of the first thing I would do, to actually develop another visioning session, because there's more that unites us than divide us. And so I think we need to get back to understanding each other, listening to each other, respecting all points of view, and getting the work done to move this community forward.
Thank you, Rodney. Barbara, after COVID, what will you do to bring the community together?
Thanks for whoever submitted the question. Just to give a little history, when LRCA, when we met in person, it was like no other meeting in DC. We had an average of 85 to 100 people at every meeting. So I think once COVID is over and we are able to get back to our in-person meetings, again, continuing to reach out to the client, reach out to the residents. Again, go back to printing the 2,000 newsletters. That is a way to keep the community involved, to keep the community informed. So that is one thing I will do if I am selected, is to make sure that we print the 2,000 flyers that we used to print, to keep the neighbors informed about what's going on. But it is never going to be a problem. This is a wonderful community, and I am confident that we will come together and to make Riggs Park, Lamond-Riggs, the best it can be.
Thank you, Barbara. The second question and last question is, and it goes to Barbara first. What is the top characteristic that you possess that will best benefit LRCA?
I would probably say kindness is probably my best characteristic. Bringing people together, listening to people, being inclusive is probably, those are my strong suits. And I don't think there's anybody that can tell you anything different. So that's what I will say.
Thank you, Barbara. Rodney, what is the top characteristic that you possess that will benefit LRCA?
I think it would be respect for everyone, and to be actually honest. LRCA has been doing this for over 70 years, and we're a great organization and a great neighborhood. So I think just being respectful for everyone, being honest, and looking for ways to kind of get people to collaborate, to kind of understand that you may not get everything that you want in this community, but you can be part of making this the best community to live in. So those would be my traits, and thanks again for the question.
Okay, everyone, that is our slate for 2021. Are there any not direct questions to any of the people who are running for anything, but are there any questions related to if you're just were nominated and you've accepted the nomination? Please come. Yeah, everybody that was nominated from the floor. You did accept the nomination?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Can I get the people who were nominated from the floor to please send an email to elections@lrcadc.org, and I can put it up again so that we can get your name, address, and phone number, and send you some of the emails that some of the other people who are running for positions have received already. Angela, are you there?
Yes, I am. Okay, I am going to talk to you about the electronic voting system, and I'm going to actually walk you through what the ballot looks like, so that if you have any questions right now, it won't be a shock when you actually get in there and start to vote later this evening. So I'm going to share my screen. One moment. So right now you should be seeing the 2021 LRCA ballot. Right now you're kind of seeing the back end of the site of our new website. So please disregard this little top black area because you won't see it when you log in. So little notation for you. But when you log into your member area, you'll come to a screen that says 2021 ballot. And when you see that, you'll either click on the image that says 2021 ballot, or you'll click on the link and it will take you to this area. So click on this link here. When you are entered, or when you enter the ballot screen, you'll see a list of notations, instructions as to how to fill your ballot. We ask that you read it carefully, that you understand everything that's there. If you have any questions, please send an email to elections@lrcadc.org, and we will get right back to you and walk you through whatever question that you have. Once you're finished reading through all the instructions here, one of the important pieces of this voting process is that you will need your member ID. Well, what's your member ID and how can I get that information? It's really, really easy. What you'll want to do is in the top green bar here, you'll see join the LRCA, and then you'll see my member profile. If you click on my member profile, that will take you to all the information that we currently have on file for you. If there's anything missing, please send us a message to the email that's listed on the page, and we'll go ahead and get that updated for you. But one of the pieces of information that's included on your profile is your member ID number. Your member ID number and your ID is listed here. And that is the number that you will need to append to your ballot in order to vote, so that your vote will count. If you are a household member and you have multiple IDs attached to your account, then you'll see multiple numbers here. So go ahead, grab that number from the page, go back to the ballot, scroll down. It says enter your LRCA member ID. You'll go ahead and enter that information. And we try to make this as simple as possible for all of you. You'll just go in and you will select the candidates that you wish to vote for. You can either check, please check only one, unless it's a trustee. Trustees, you can select up to 10 people for that category. You can either select what's written here, or you can write in your candidate. So we're just add in some candidates here. G.I. Joe sounds like a good candidate. And we will select, just for the purposes of the example here, select all these candidates that we want to vote for, up to 10. Scroll down to the bottom, you'll see submit your completed ballot. And we actually make a note that after you click on the button above, please wait until you receive a message that your ballot has been received before closing this window. So if you click the submit your ballot, you'll see submitting. And submitting some more. And when you get that message, that's how you will know that your ballot has been received. You'll then receive an email from an account called Your Vote at lrcadc.org, just alerting you again that your ballot was received. For household members who have multiple IDs, then that person, the other additional people in your household can take one of the IDs, plug it into the system, and cast it. And with that, I'll turn it over to the floor. Are there any questions or comments or concerns?
I have a question, please.
Yes.
I'm not that literate when it comes to this. So how do I get walked through if I don't know what I'm walking through? Is there any other way I can vote?
You should have received by email, if you paid your dues by April the 2nd, instructions as to how to log into the membership portal and how to access this site. Did you receive that?
I did.
Okay.
And I'm looking at this that says May 3rd at 7 p.m. and there's a website there and an ID for the meeting. So that's where I am right now.
Okay, why don't you send an email to elections@lrcadc.org, and I will walk you through the process and make sure that you received the follow-up communication that had your user ID.
Repeat that. Repeat the elections what?
Elections at lrcadc.org.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
The website that you're on, I have a question. This is Juanita Cooper. What about the information you dropped in our at our door recently? The voting information that you dropped in the door.
Cooper, this is Tanya Slade. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tanya.
You paid by check, correct?
I did what?
Did
I
you
paid
pay
by check, yes.
Okay, then you follow the directions that were dropped in your door. This does not apply to you. You will not be voting online.
Okay, this is Miss well, my concern is that that we're supposed to return that information in a secrecy envelope. Now, the envelope that you provided for return is not a secrecy envelope. Thank you. That's really my concern. It should be a blank envelope.
A blank. Oh, no problem. If you would
you have house numbers on that envelope.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
That's illegal. That is not a secrecy envelope. We're voting in secret.
The house numbers were placed. The house numbers were placed on the envelopes, so we knew where the envelopes have to go. The envelope. Oh, I understand what you're saying now.
The returning envelope has our address on it.
I hear you. I hear you.
I can't buy that. That's not a secrecy voting if the envelope has any identification information on it.
Are you saying that you would like a blank envelope left at your home?
Yes. Everyone should. It's illegal. Everyone should receive a blank envelope.
It shouldn't have no addresses on that envelope returning.
Correct.
That's correct. A very easy correction to make. If you, because I still have plenty of those envelopes, give us until like Tuesday afternoon, and we should be able to drop some more envelopes at your house. It took us only an hour to drop those original ones.
Acceptable. Okay, we just want this to be done legally.
And I have one question. This is Ms. Mack. If we receive the envelope, we cannot vote online.
Correct.
Because it's like whoever pick up our envelope, they could put our address on it.
You know what, Ms. Mack?
I'm not saying it would happen, but I'm just saying when it comes to voting as far as Privacy Act.
Ms. Mack, people could do all kinds of things. I've been solving a lot of problems in the last 4 days, and I've said to a lot of them, what would make you think you could do that? Because I was very surprised as to some of the things that people thought were okay to do.
Well,
we just everyone does the right thing.
Can we pick up the envelopes ourselves?
Drop them off or something.
You want to drop them off yourself?
No, can we pick them up? I do not have an envelope. Can I pick one up and where?
I don't know if the person who has the envelope wants people to come to her house to pick them up.
Okay.
That's why I was saying we would have someone drop them off at the home. We have the list of homes, and we'll just ask someone to drop them off, one blank envelope at each house.
Maybe you could
Okay.
maybe you could have a neutral location in the city, like
Culture
Culture
Coffee, drop 'em
Coffee.
off.
Like she might she might let you keep a box there so that
You could drop them
because
in
we
the
don't
box.
even know, like, I mean, just to
Okay.
make it, people, it's a trust issue. Like you could count, you and Miss V could count the envelopes that come out of there, because people don't want their votes just handed to, some random person. That wouldn't feel good to me in a
Okay.
regular election.
The
So
person
it's just
who
a
is
trust issue.
receiving, the person who is receiving the envelope is a member of the nominating committee. Those are the people that put the envelopes out there, and those are the persons that will be picking the
But
envelope.
is that how we vote in a regular election? Nobody
No.
would pick up my vote in a regular election. So I'm not saying that she's not right, but it's just a trust issue with their vote.
Please take into consideration that we did this way because of COVID.
Yeah.
And we were trying to think of a way that people would not have to come out, gather together, and expose themselves. And there were so few people who paid by check, we were easily able to identify them in their homes. And we said, you know what? As a courtesy, we can drop it and pick it up for their safety, because the majority of those people are senior.
It's not
But
more
what
of a
about
courtesy,
people?
it's more of what's being fair as a trust issue. I think that's what we're speaking.
Hey, I got a question, Miss. So I know people were saying having a location, and so is it still too late to consider having ballots dropped off, Tanya, at Miss
I
V?
will tell you this. If we talked, the board talked, not the board, but the nominating committee talked through that.
Okay.
That means someone has to, from the nominating committee or from the board, sit with that box and be responsible for that box.
Okay.
Okay,
But people who paid,
Or they could just hand it to Ms. V behind the counter.
No.
Our main concern is not.
I will tell you this. I do not want to give that box to someone else and make them responsible for it. That is not a part of the nominating committee. That would
It
not
would
be a
have been
part.
nice if someone from the nominated committee checked with the community and see what was best for us to drop it off. Somebody could stand in front of the school for 1 hour and have everybody to drop it off or something like that.
I'm sorry, who am I speaking with?
Miss Mack, it would be nice if y'all would have reached out to the community and we would
Ms.
get.
Mack,
Yes.
actually, we talked through all of that, and we went with safety first. We talked through all of that.
what about people who paid their membership dues online?
They are voting online.
But what, don't you have to, well, I don't know. How would you get an envelope for those people?
There's an envelope isn't needed if they're voting online.
Is it too late for me to switch and go online? But since I paid with a check, I have to stick with the procedure.
Angela, are you available to answer that question?
It wouldn't be too late. I would take me a little bit to set up your account. And so I could probably get something over to you first thing in the morning, if that would be okay.
Yes, that would
for
be
those
good.
individuals that would want to switch from paper to online voting.
Yes, I would like that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question?
Yes.
I registered for the dues online last week. And I got an email saying there's a big of a snag. There's a delay in the process of my dues. So I am seeking to be nominated. Is that going to mess up this process for me to be nominated?
And who am I speaking with?
This is Audrey Walker.
Hi, Audrey. You had to be a paid member by April 2nd.
Oh, okay. Thought it was May 2nd. Okay.
Quick question on that.
I have a question.
Do you have to be a member to run as well as vote, or just to vote?
My understanding is that you have to be a paid member in good standing to run for a position and vote. If I'm incorrect, please, someone from the board correct me.
Hello.
So does that mean, this is Elaine Gunter, so does that mean the people who were voted from the floor tonight will have to be checked before we can vote for them?
Correct. And that's why I requested their email, their address, and their phone number so that I can take the time to check it and then contact them individually to let them know what the result is. So that is also going to cause a slight delay in us opening up voting because we intended to opening up voting at 8:30 tonight.
Okay. So a further question, the people who were nominated from the floor, and after you check are okay, you're gonna list them on the ballot?
You will handwrite, if you have a paper ballot, you can handwrite them in. Electronically, we will add them online.
Oh, great, because I didn't take all their names down.
Well, actually, because we only need to add one line. I'm sorry, Angie, I have to bother you again. So we have 4 people from the floor and we have one line that needs to be added to the ballot so that people can write in. Is that something that can happen in 30 minutes, Ange?
I don't want to say 30 minutes just because I want to just make sure everything is okay. I could probably have it done in about an hour.
About an hour?
Just so I can
Okay.
verify that everything is correct and is working.
I'm going to give everyone the names of the people who were nominated, and we can disqualify them if they don't qualify. That has happened before.
Tanya, this is Lauren Boyd trying to
Hi,
get
Lauren.
a question in. Hi. So my concern is also about all the nominations from the floor. It's good if they are on the ballot, because if people weren't taking extensive notes, we wouldn't know their names. And also people who aren't on this call tonight wouldn't know who the nominations are from the floor.
Understood. I can't even come up with an answer with that right now. I honestly can't, because
if they're on the ballot, like you said, the electronic ballot, then that's great.
Yeah. In the past, when we were voting live, people wrote it in.
Yeah. I had to write down and it went so quickly online, it was hard to know who was who.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to type it in the chat, the names that I have.
But if people are on
this is going to be, and this is going to be saved as well, so people can go back and look at this.
Okay.
But yeah, I think when we had spoken about it earlier, we were like, people write them in when we're actually having a vote live at night, and that was going to have to be the direction that we went in with this.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I am Euclides. I live in 344 Oneida Street Northeast. I pay by PayPal March 27. But I am new member, but I don't receive the email. Please, I put my question in the chat in the meeting. It's possible, please send me the email for with the instruction for vote today, this night or tomorrow, please.
Okay, if you could look in the chat box, can you see the chat box?
Yes.
You can you can email your question to elections@lrcadc.org. You can
Okay.
email and say you have not received access, you have not received the email, and we will assist you because we actually can see when you open the email, because a lot of people didn't realize they had opened it. The other thing, you need to look to see if, like, look at your PayPal account and make sure that you're looking at that email account, because that's the email account that the voting information is going to. A lot of people were looking in other email accounts.
Okay, I go to say email. Thank you.
Thank you
I
very
check
much.
yeah, I check all my email. I don't receive, but I go to send to you my email now. Thank you.
And you see it elections@lrcadc.org. We need your name, you paid by PayPal, and your address, so we can make sure we're updating your information as we go, and a phone number in case we find an issue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a
Anyone?
question. This is Mary
Please.
Wade. Hi.
Hi, Ms. Wade.
I have already voted. So
You've already filled it out, right?
and it's it's only 8 candidates on here and I wrote down 4. So, but you can only have 10?
More people can run for the position than 10, but you're only supposed to choose 10.
Okay, these newcomers, is it anyway?
Trustees.
This is
Or
the new,
trustee.
hello?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
All the new candidates, I think if they're eligible, I think at this time we need all the help we can get. You know, if we can write them all in, if they are eligible, we need all the help we can get.
At this time, the bylaws state that we have 10 trustees.
Okay. So
10.
I will only be able to write in 2 because I've already voted, right?
Unless you want to change some of your prior votes.
I'd have to get a new ballot because I've already voted. And I didn't know it was going to be any write-in, so, but I can only write in 2.
You can only vote for 10.
Right. It's only 8 here on the ballot, 8 people for trustee. So I can only write in 2 of the new from the floor.
You know what, Miss Wade? I have your phone number. I'll call you
Good,
afterwards.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Sí, mi hermano, estoy
Anybody else?
apurado ahí con el tema de.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Tanya. I know
Hi.
this is a lot of work for you all. I put my question in the chat. I am concerned that on the paper ballots, there likely are not enough spaces for write-ins for trustees. And I think you all need more than, as many slots as possible for write-ins for trustees on the electronic ballot as well. Like, people don't have to vote for the people who are listed currently
True.
on that ballot. And so if they want to write in 5, they should be able to write in 5. I don't know if there were 5 tonight, but you get my point.
Yes. On the paper ballot, the trustees are on the back of the ballot. There's plenty of space to write in.
So, but were there instructions for people?
On the electronic, Angela's going to add in another line so that we have enough lines.
Okay, and my second question is, much ado was made about whether names were printed in the newsletters, candidate names were printed in the newsletter years ago. And I haven't seen any publication of candidates on any LRCA platform to date. It would be really helpful, if by now there were some list available on the LRCA's website, Twitter page, Facebook, like people need to know who the candidates are.
Okay, to be honest with you, the information, the list of candidates is out there. But I have stuck with the nominating committee and working with Angela for communications. Angela does not do all of the communications.
Okay, so my point is there should be a list of candidates on the website at the very least. If you're not going to put it on social media, put it on the listserv, put it somewhere. But there is no list of candidates at all. It was, sort of what was in the newsletter and the minutes was unacceptable. So to date, there is no list of candidates anywhere.
Okay. We'll do what we can do to resolve that. It is a bit late. However, people will still be able to vote online through Tuesday. But I'm sure we can get it up in some places.
Is that Tuesday of next week?
No, this week.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
By midnight?
I'll have to double check the time. We had to make some adjustments and working the, getting the, webpage going. So we're hoping to be able to keep it open until 11:30. 11:30 is the time.
Tanya, this is Barbara. I have a quick question.
Sure.
Can you tell us how many people we currently have to vote for as trustee? We know that we can only select 10. There were 4 tonight from the floor. So what is the total of trustees?
It will be a total of 12 with the 4 that spoke today, spoke tonight. So 12.
Okay. And so people, please realize you can vote for 10 of the 12.
But she also has to check. She also has to check and see who's eligible, right? She still has to do that. So it may not be 12. It may be less than 12. So
That's correct.
Quick question. So if you didn't receive the email or the paper ballot, will that be corrected tonight or tomorrow?
If you did not receive, did you pay by PayPal?
Yes, February.
Online. Yes. Okay.
And I
then
emailed
you need.
I emailed also.
Okay, so you need to email, and we'll have to get to that on Tuesday because Angela's going to have to make all the adjustments tonight.
Okay, so I emailed.
I did. All of this is falling on one person, Angela. She's in charge of, and she created from scratch our webpage. So the adjustments have to be made by her. And she and I have been purging and correcting the list of people who can vote online constantly. Like every day I'm getting 4 or 5 emails. And I will say out of the emails we're receiving, 90% of those people have received an email. They just, it was in an email they didn't remember they had or something like that.
Okay, I want to thank you all.
At the same day, but me asking the same question. How can this be a privacy when my return envelope has my address on it?
We already said that we give you a blank.
Yeah, because how the hell,
Miss Matt.
Yes.
Miss Matt, mute your phone.
Thank you.
So I'm actually going to step into this, Tanya. There was a question about having a list of all the candidates that will be running. Once we confirm the candidates tonight, Tanya and I will go through things this evening. I will post that list on the members area. So when you first log in onto the page, you will see a list of all the candidates. In addition to that, I will make it possible so that for the electronic ballot, We will have all of the candidates that are running so that you don't have to remember or refer back to notes. And I'll also make sure that we have enough spaces, or you have enough spaces to add in additional candidates if you wish to. I think those were the main points that we needed to address.
Was there anything else?
Yeah, I had a quick question. This is Danielle. So if you have, once you open the floor for voting, so do we anticipate that would be this evening? I did see the response that it'll be open until tomorrow at 11:30, but do we anticipate that it will be tonight? And then how soon would we hear back in terms of the results? What's usually the return time?
So the plan is to, Wednesday, we're going to tally everything. We are actually meeting at Culture Coffee, and we're going to do our tallies there. We have electronic tallies to download, so we're going to have computers there to do that. And we have the paper ballots that will be picked up. And we've already put in the paper ballots, instructions, and when they're going to be picked up. So it will happen Wednesday. Once we complete the tallies, which we hope will be somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, hopefully, if everything goes right, then we're going to send out a blast that says we will be announcing in 15 minutes the result of the election. That will give all of the candidates an opportunity, just make them aware that this is coming. Then we're going to verbally announce, because we anticipate we may have some people standing outside of Culture Coffee that are running. We're going to verbally announce who the winners are, how many votes they received, like we have normally done in a meeting. We'll do it outside of Culture Coffee. And then we will send the emails out to let everyone know what the results were.
Hey, Tanya, is that we can vote until 11 a.m. or 11 p.m. tomorrow?
PM.
PM. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. That gives us time to solve any electronic problems for individual people and make sure that they can vote if they should be voting.
I have a question for Mr. Martin.
I have a question for Mr. Martin. If for some reason his electronic, we cannot get him the ballot via electronic, can he get a paper ballot?
We first would like to try everything possible to make sure that you can vote electronically if you paid electronically. I also think, we're trying to knock this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. We're trying to knock it through the system so that people can take advantage of this in the future. And then if we can't get something right and you are eligible to vote, we will make sure that we work it out for you to receive an official ballot. But we want to do everything possible to make sure you can vote online first, because this is going to be the direction that everything goes in.
Understood. We will try.
Okay, I just had a quick question that's in the chat, hasn't been answered, and that's just clarification on whether all nominees need to have paid their dues in order to not we know that you have to have paid your dues in order to vote, but you also have to have paid your dues in order to be a nominee. Is that correct?
A paid member in good standing. I'm going to pull up the bylaws right now. But if anybody else,
there was just some confusion because I saw someone put something in the chat saying that was not the case. So I just wanted for transparency.
We need to always refer to the bylaws.
Okay.
So, I mean, if somebody knows that's not the case and you're here, please speak up.
So we should assume then that the final ballot that we see online are would have been a vetted list of all people who are paying members and in good standing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, if you have any questions, if you want to switch your paper ballot to electronic or any other questions regarding the elections process, email us at elections@lrcadc.org. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Rodney, you still there?
I am, just kind of barely, but I'm here. So
Any comments,
there's
questions from
one
the
or
board?
two.
Any comments, questions from the board? I honestly was looking it up and I've forgotten. Do we need to accept the ballot or do something formal for the ballot?
I don't think so. I think that people just, nominated from the floor and they're added to the ballot, pending, the checks to make sure they're paid members.
That's all you need.
Okay. So Tanya, thanks you and to the nominating committee. You guys have done yeoman work. This is one of the worst pandemics we've had in this country's history. And so to say that you guys have persevered and tried to work through this is pretty awesome. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the board as well. Let me move on to the other agenda item, and I'm mindful of the time. It's 9:11. I would say we give this another maybe 5 to 10 minutes and we call it a night. The other agenda item was a request to share our membership list with the other person that was running for, I'm sorry, say that again. So
No.
the other agenda item was to share our membership list with the other person that was running for the president's position. And we did do some research, and we cannot share the list because it violates DC's code for nonprofit organization, and it actually violates the privacy rights of LRCA members. To do so without board approval, as required by DC law, opens LRCA to lawsuits from any particular member. So the board agreed with my recommendation that it would be irresponsible to share the membership list under these conditions, and so the board decided not to do so. The last thing is that, as I've stated repeatedly in the past, I think that's why you have a board that can do the research to present factual information to the general body and to the community so that folks can make informed decisions. We don't benefit when we make decisions based on false or misleading information. And so again, DC law says this is a board decision, and given the conditions, the board has decided not to allow anyone to have access to the membership list. Any questions, comments before we move on?
Yeah, this is Robert Oliver. I need to take a look at the last newsletter, but I thought that the decision was made to go the other way, and there was a vote.
I agree.
There was a vote
so
on that.
I think there's a difference between a decision that the general body made that was uninformed, to be honest with you, Robert. And
Well, that is
the
the
fact,
job of,
Robert, if I
the
can be allowed to finish, please.
Go ahead,
So
please.
again, there's a difference in a decision that the general body made that was not well informed, and the board really looking at the law. And our charge is to maintain the association in good standing and not put it in any risk. And so for the board to release that membership would have clearly violated DC laws and DC regulations and several laws regarding privacy rights. And so that's why you elect a board, to make sure that the association is not put into any risk. As I said before, anybody could have sued this association if we release those names and email addresses and even financial information. So
this is David Casa. May I ask a quick question? Can you cite and provide the specific piece of legal code that you're referencing so we can read it ourselves specifically?
Sure. Sure, I've got it right here in front of me. I anticipated these questions, David. So look up the Code of the District of Columbia and look up section 29-413-02 and look up section 29, section 143.07. And so again, that's why you have a board. That's why we really take a lot of pains behind the scene to make sure that we do the work required so that the general body is making informed decisions and not decisions based on false and misleading information. That's why you have a board.
Two things, please. This is Robert Oliver.
After you, Robert.
Okay, first thing is, if the board made a misleading decision, they had basically some of the board members there who should have intervened. Now, maybe they didn't know, that's fine. The second thing is, if that was the case and this was going to be pulled back, then I would think it is disingenuous to do it now, 5 minutes before your call. You should have done that at the very beginning. And then lastly, and this is the second part, I think it's unfair to the other candidate because you as president have access to these things and you even argued it within the newsletter. So you're saying that you actually had the right to do this when the board member decided at that point in time to share it with the other candidate. So it is indeed unfair that you kind of have a better handle on who is going to vote than the opposing candidate. And how do you rectify that?
Hey, Robert, you raised a couple good issues and you were speaking so fast, I may not have them all, so I'll try to go with one at a time. The board didn't make a decision to allow the other person running for president to get the list. That was made by the general body. So again, it's very important that we don't provide the membership in any form with false and misleading information. So the first thing, it wasn't a board decision. And as you recall, I said, guys, we can't do this. It's a privacy violation. Another board member said, hey, the same thing. I said, this is a board decision, but you know, I'm the president, so I do what the will of the body says. And the will of the body at that particular point in the conversation was that we should share the bylaws. Well, we did do our homework. Again, that's why you elect a board, so that we have more information and we're able to make an informed decision. The other thing is going back to this notion of access to the list. When I ran against Gwen 2 years ago, she was the second vice president, first vice president. Did she have access to the membership list as the second vice president? And so, I'm sorry, Rob, you have to let me finish. And so the folks who raised the question this time about access to the list didn't say anything about fairness and the notion of me having access to the list when I ran 2 years ago against Gwen. So we got to have some shared standards here. You know, we got to be honest and fair and transparent. You can't turn around and say, well, this time we'll let it go, but when it was done 2 years ago, nobody said anything. So that's my response to your question.
COVID changes that whole situation.
No, not in terms of access to the membership list. It actually doesn't.
Access to people. Like the only way that you can contact people now is electronically. At least we were able to come into the meetings and be able to see who's running and talk to the people in this new environment. In this new environment where people are only like engaging electronically, that's a huge disadvantage. I mean, this is, like you said, we're in unprecedented times, and we know that Zoom has taken off because we have to talk electronically. And everybody, like, it's a lot of people who don't understand all of this new, you know, new technology right now who aren't getting on these pages, but still may want to vote.
Yeah,
and
sure,
I just think it's a disadvantage and unfair.
Yeah, I understand your question. I'm not quite sure what it has to do with the fact that Gwen may have had access to the voting list 2 years ago, and no one raised this question about, is it fair to other candidates? But I'm going to ask any of the board members if they have any thoughts. Let me start with Melvin and perhaps Paul.
Well, while we're waiting on Melvin, can you?
I'm sorry, Bobby, just give them a second because they may be unmuting themselves, or because it's late, they may have actually signed off. So let's show some respect and give them time to respond, all right?
Reverend Smith is available.
Okay, after you, Reverend Smith.
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to certainly thank you for the concern. I have to admit that with hesitation, I was the one that I believe made a motion to release the document to Barbara. A lot of hesitation, and that's unusual for me because I got caught up in the moment because there was so much going on with the chattering. But because I knew at that point that it was really against the law for us to do it, and that's the law. It has nothing to do with COVID. That's the law. You're dealing with identity theft issues and everything else that's going on in this world. And certainly we don't want to find ourselves as the association being caught in a legal situation with releasing personal information. But with that said, I take responsibility as a board member for making the motion to release the information and whatever action that can be taken against me at this point, will be. But I just want to make sure that everyone understands that without a hesitation from me, with my knowledge and my experience, I really didn't want to make that motion, but again, we got caught up in the motion, and so that's where we are on my end.
All right, I
Okay,
have one
Melvin, are you
question for
with us?
you.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you for stating that pretty clearly too. Melvin, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't understand the big issue. I mean, if somebody was going to run, they have time to contact people all along. And I mean, if we can't trust each other, that we're not utilizing names to have somewhat of an advantage over someone else. I mean, this is COVID times. We're going through a lot of different changes here. Why are we at the last minute trying to get this issue brought up or resolved? So, I mean, we voted as a board to look at the standard, the code, and it fit that we have liability risks that we had to protect in this short period of time, whether it's COVID or not. So we lean more on the side of being cautious, and because someone will come up and say, hey, you violated my rights by doing it. So that's what the board unanimously decided on. That's what happened.
Okay,
This
and
is
can I
Danielle.
respond
Ronnie,
now?
does that mean that the
Let me
minutes
hold
have
on,
to be
hold on.
revised? From that we just approved? That's where it's really confusing. And in terms of why it's important, the last meeting, it really focused on parity of information and that it would be shared with Barbara because she was running for president and Rodney had that information. And we talk about the spirit of transparency. We talk about not having, behind the door conversations and all that, but this is an example of one. And so whatever is said, it can't just be words, it has to be actions. And this is an example of really hypocrisy at play. And that has really troubled this organization for the last couple of years.
Hey, Danielle, thank you for your comments. I strongly disagree. The board is charged with enforcing not only the bylaws, but the laws of the District of Columbia. And I really think that it's a bit irresponsible for anybody to suggest that the board knowingly violates a regulation and or a law for the District of Columbia. Again, this discussion was made and the vote was done by the general body. I opposed it. Another board member opposed it. But folks on the general body thought it was the right thing to do. Now we get new information that clearly says it's illegal. And so I don't care how you look at it, to say that now you want to force the board to knowingly do an illegal act where this institution, this organization can be sued, I think that's totally irresponsible.
Are
Well,
you
let me-
guys
hold on,
reading the
hold on.
chat?
This
Because
is-
the chat is saying that it's not illegal. I guess somebody pulled up the document and they're saying it's not illegal.
Yeah, so I understand what the chat is saying. I hope that you guys understand the board looked at the law. They looked at the regulation. It's clear. And again, you elected a board to make sure this organization is kept safe, not to go by
Rodney, this
misleading
is-
or false. May I be allowed to finish? Not to go by false or misleading information. You've heard a
Can
few
members
board members
speak?
talk
I
about
guess
what
not.
we did and why we did it. So you don't have to agree, but the law is the law. And again, no one wants to get sued because of false or misleading information. And we can always update the minutes. So with the minutes, it's a timing issue. Yes, the minutes reflect the discussion then. And the minutes tonight will reflect the board's decision to not release those membership lists because it violates the law. So there's no
Okay,
hypocrisy there.
I'm
There's a
not
question
saying
about
it's
timing.
hypocrisy.
There's
Is there a
no
sergeant at
hypocrisy
arms or
there.
a parliamentarian? Because this is getting out of hand now.
Let me
Say one thing, and then I'll be quiet for the rest of the night. But you talk about hypocrisy, and the board doing
Actually,
this and doing
Robert,
that.
Danielle was the one who raised the question about hypocrisy.
Okay, well, let me finish. Let me finish. Okay.
Okay.
First thing, you say something about what Gwen did a couple of years ago. We're not talking about what Gwen may have done because you probably had no proof, but that seems to be your motivation. And secondly, in terms of a hypocrisy, you're harling about the board and can be you getting sued or the organization being sued. You forget that you're supposed to have a non-denominational organization. You're not supposed to put one religion over the other. That is in the Constitution not to do that, but you've had no problem doing it. And you could be sued for that, but nobody's bothered to do it because they have respect for the organization. So how do you square that?
Hey, Robert, that's a good question. And so those of us who could look up definition, we looked up the definition of non-denominational. We also looked at the definition of following the traditions of religions. And so the non-denomination prayer that we do now doesn't violate anything. And again, what's important here, Robert, is that you can't keep sharing false and misleading information. That's the first thing. The second thing is that respect. Robbie, may I finish?
You're the one that's doing it.
The second thing is respectfully, you don't live in this community. So would you please excuse yourself from these conversations and no longer meddle in the affairs of the Lamond-Riggs Citizens Association? You don't live in this community.
Amen.
And I've got calls from several board members and residents saying, why is Robert Oliver allowed to meddle in the affairs of the Lamond-Riggs Citizens Association? Let me go to the next question.
This is Reverend Smith. Let me just say this.
My hand raised for
This thing about,
10 minutes now,
and this is the reason why there's been a lot of concerns with me being on this board and being in this community. Because anytime that we want to fight over having a prayer, and we did move from to a non-denominational prayer, but even in the government, they have implications at the beginning of their meetings. And so for us to even have a issue about a non-denominational prayer, I don't think that's appropriate at this point. When we need all the prayer we can get.
Would you like to say something? Would you like to say something, Renee?
I don't know. I'm trying
May I please
to understand what's going on here. Is it?
You can talk. Mr. Martin would like to say something.
Well, I would like to know what's going on here. Why we can't resolve this. It's getting late, and we ought to have something in order so that we all understand what's going on.
Can this be tabled?
May I speak? I've had my hand raised for 20 minutes now.
And I've had mine as well as soon as she's finished. Just 1 minute, thank you.
Okay, so there's a question on the floor though. So let's respect Mr. Martin, folks. So Mr. Martin, if there's a question on the floor, if this can be tabled, when you say this, are you referring to the discussion about sharing the list? Because that's clearly illegal, so we can't table that. Or are you saying this discussion that Robert mentioned about the prayer in our meetings?
The prayer, do you want to table the prayer discussion? Because he said the list discussion cannot be tabled.
I think you ought to table the discussion.
About the prayer.
About the plan.
Okay, I think Lieutenant and someone else had their hand up.
Yeah, so, honestly, I'm so disturbed right now. Rodney spent years attacking me for having silent prayer at our meetings because the bylaws say that LRCA is a non-sectarian organization. He said, well, the membership voted to have Christian prayer. He disrupted our meetings constantly, insisting that we have a vote on Christian prayer when it is not in accordance with the bylaws. The membership ostensibly voted for Christian prayer, and I said that is not a proper motion, that is not a proper vote. So we moved to silent prayer, and I was attacked for years by Rodney, by Reverend Paul, by Melvin, by so many others who jumped on emails to me, who stood up in meetings attacking me. And now you're saying that the board has a responsibility to make sure that the organization is operating in accordance with its bylaws, when that is what I did when I was president. You all have never apologized to me. You are making the same point I made back then, which is that the board has a responsibility to make sure that board is operating in accordance with the bylaws. So I'm glad we now agree that the board has that responsibility. that I was not wrong about having silent prayer at the meetings, because you all have moved to a non-denominational prayer in just the last few meetings without even telling anybody about it. So I just wanted to put that on the floor because I think it's totally disturbing and troubling, the behavior displayed by you, Rodney, for a number of years now, and it's not fair. And I just needed to say that in public because it is very troubling.
Sure. Hey, Lieutenant, I certainly appreciate, Paul, let me just get in real quick. I appreciate your comments. But I want to make sure that people are not giving false and misleading information. The issue that the majority of people in the membership had was that Lieutenant and the leadership that consisted of Barbara and Gwen and others arbitrarily made the decisions to stop prayer in our meetings, right? So let's be fair, let's be transparent, let's be honest, right? We're all adults. So you arbitrarily made the decision. And when we asked you to put it on the ballot, you agreed, and then you refused to put it on the ballot. And even when the membership, even when Frank, who did a lot of work to make sure this community's concerns were represented, even when Frank advocated that you put it on the vote and we voted, the membership overwhelmingly voted to reinstate prayer. You still didn't do it. So again, a lot of long-term members, a lot of new people were kind of wondering about your behavior and who were you actually representing, us, the members, or someone else? And the last thing I would say is that, Lieutenant, you're an attorney. I don't know how you could have suggested that we violate DC laws by providing anybody with the membership list. If I knew better, then why would you suggest that as an attorney?
This isn't productive. This is not productive.
Yeah, this is a tactful.
For years.
Yes.
The board has sat by and let it happen. It's ridiculous. I did no such thing. You all want a Christian prayer. I said as a compromise, there will be silent prayer, meaning anybody can pray whenever they.
How do we get on silent prayer?
Wait a minute. Hold.
It's not showing
Can we
leadership.
get order?
Nor is
Listen,
it
get
funny.
order.
It's not funny. It really
Hello.
isn't.
There needs
Can
to
we
be
get
some order
order?
here.
If the board would tell Ronnie to stop making accusations, false
It's facts, Lieutenant.
But it's not. Hold up.
So that's the purpose of voting.
Then I would
That's
not.
the purpose of voting. That's
You
what
all,
it's
you
focused
all,
on.
this
not
is
election.
Barbara.
It's
May I
not
speak?
board.
To stop.
This is
And the
Barbara.
board
May I
needs to stop.
speak?
To stop.
Stop.
This is
Hey, guys.
Barbara. May
Hey.
I speak?
Oh,
Since
my
we are
goodness.
talking about this list, let me say this. I am glad that because I wasn't contacted. I know it was voted on by the majority at the last meeting. And when I was not contacted by anybody about getting this list, believe me, we know that Rodney, because I've been told by the exec board people that he has been going on he knows who has paid and he has targeted his campaign to those people. But let me just say this as a candidate, it's okay. No,
Barbara,
Rodney, let me
please.
speak. I let you speak.
Barbara, again, you're
This
spreading
is-
false and why are you
No,
attacking me with false and
This
misleading
is
information?
factual
It's very
information, Rodney,
disrespectful.
and you know it's true.
It's
But
very
let me just say
disrespectful.
this. Let's
Okay.
forget about the list. This is the
Yes.
day before the election. I don't really care about the list. So please, let's move on.
Thank you.
I don't
Thank
care
you.
about the list. So
Come on.
let's move on.
Thank
And may
you.
the best person win. That's what I will
Absolutely.
say.
Thank
So
you.
let's move on. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I want to, this is Reverend Paul Smith, and I just need to make sure that since my name was mentioned, that, and I haven't said anything, not to one person, but throughout this past 2 years, I can't tell you how many emails I received from a number of persons who's on this call. And they were not know pretty good, how you doing, Reverend Smith emails. And so for someone to say that I've been part of this whole situation with trying to set things up against other persons is, I think is unfair. I have not said anything to no one, but these emails I've been receiving from a number of persons on this call have been nasty,
Yes.
insulting.
I think we need.
And I just need to
Barbara,
make
I'm
sure that you
sorry. Paul
understand
is
since my
speaking.
name
You
was
gotta let
mentioned.
Paul finish. Go ahead,
Since my
Paul.
name was mentioned,
Because Reverend
my name
Paul,
was
you have
mentioned,
sent me
and I
emails
just want to make sure it's on record that a number of persons on this call has sent me emails that I've never received from anyone else in my life. And I haven't said not one word to no one.
Yes. Very disrespectful.
I would like to, I'd like to say something.
My hand is up.
You've never
I would-
apologized.
I'm
for
sorry,
your-
Melvin.
I
would
think
like
that's
to.
why we have to move on. It's
I'm
not
sorry,
I
guys.
would
I
like
think-
to.
Hey,
I would
guys.
like to.
Hey,
I would
everyone.
like to.
Hey,
I
everyone,
need
can I get
to.
everyone's attention? Angie,
Can
you
I
mute
just
everyone for me,
say?
please?
I just
Angie,
want to
mute
say.
everyone. Angie,
I
mute
want to
everyone
say.
for me. Okay, guys, this has been a passionate discussion. It's something that's been brewing for a while. I'm glad it came out. But I want to say that I don't hate anybody. I know that Barbara doesn't hate anybody. I know that Lieutenant doesn't hate anybody. We're all focused on what's best for this community. We got to figure out a way to have these discussions without it becoming personal, because it's important. With that being said, as someone put in the chat, everybody take a step back and just breathe. We can have respectful conversations and we disagree. I would just ask, like I've been saying all year, do not, please stop providing false and misleading information about Lieutenant, about Rodney, about Barbara, about anybody. Please stop that. So let me go with Paul. He had his hand up, and I think there were one or two other people who had the hand up. And this has been a long and enjoyable evening. I think we adjourn the meeting after these last rounds of comments.
No, I'm
Angie, can
finished.
you please unmute folks? Go ahead, Melvin.
Okay, since my name was mentioned, I want to get things corrected. When we had the vote, the large community had voted. The vote wasn't about Christian prayer. The vote was about prayer, period.
Yeah.
It was never about Christian prayer. And in going by the bylaws, non-sectarian means no affiliation with a religious organization. That's what it states, and that's what it means by law. So when we say that the board is supposed to do that, you was on that board, and you're saying Christian prayer versus prayer. It was voted for prayer, not Christian prayer. And we offered a silent prayer is not a prayer. That is not listed. That's not the tradition or the culture in this neighborhood.
That's right.
So we said it would be non-denominational, so we didn't choose anything. So whoever prayed, they could pray. They have the freedom of speech to say what they want. So why are we talking about the wrong thing? And don't put my name in something unless you're correct about what you say.
Melvin, relax, chill. You're wrong. You've never
Melvin, thank
No,
you.
I'm not wrong.
cut it out. Cut it out.
Hey,
You need to cut it out. All of y'all need to cut this out about name calling, accusing people. Look at the facts. Those are the facts that was on there. And it was taken care of. It was resolved. And somebody's bringing it up again. If you stop outsiders coming here trying to change things in this organization and do things that's not leading us to unity. If we don't have unity, we're not going to have peace. People are not going to be able to walk up and down the street lollygagging with their kids and their dogs in this neighborhood if people stop dividing us.
Yes, yes. Melvin, thank you very much. Well said. There were a couple other hands up. Let's give this like 2 or 3 more minutes. And again, I'm all for respectful disagreements. And I just ask people to remember that. I agree with Barbara. We are one community. At the end of the day, if Barbara wins, I'm going to support her in LRCA. I'm not going to try and undermine and sabotage the organization. If I win, I know Barbara will do the same. So please, there are a couple other people who want to say something. This is the time. Okay, well, hearing nothing.
No.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've never attended any meeting. I have been in my neighborhood for 27 years, and I have to say that this has been very upsetting for me. I thought when I signed on that I was going to have a constructive discussion about what's going on in this community, and hear the candidates talk about what they were going to do to take it to another level. And I have heard only discord. And so I have to say that it has really turned me off.
Great comment. Thank you very much. Let me go to Gavin and then to Lori.
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you call me Lori?
I'm going to go to Gavin first and then you
Oh, I'm
second,
sorry. I
Lori.
didn't hear you. Thank you.
No worries.
So regardless of the claims about the legality of it, this is a membership organization. And so I make a motion and I ask for a second to share the membership list with all candidates who are in this election.
Hey, Gavin, I appreciate, Gavin, I'm sorry, I appreciate your comments, but in LRCA, it's the president who calls for, it's the president who calls the questions. And I think that distinguishes most nonprofits. You can't necessarily have any members making nominations or making motions from the floor. Our tradition, and I'm glad that you're here.
Sorry, I remember when there was a different president and you frequently stood up and made motions from the floor when you were not president.
Gavin, the same way I respected you, please respect us. That's one of the concerns here. So again, our traditions is that it's the president who asks for motions. And I have not asked for that motion because I will not put a motion on the floor where the board knowingly does something illegally for this organization. And as a reminder, Gavin, as nonprofit members of this board, we are personally liable if this board is sued. So I don't think any board member wants to do that. I appreciate your comments. I respect your comments. Just respect mine. Lori, on to you.
Thank you. I was just going to say that, and I put it in the chat. I tried to find the code. I didn't do it. I guess I didn't write it right down. I'll check it again later. But I do understand where the board may have come to this conclusion, because for almost anything that you have today that involves information sharing, you do have to give permission. You have to opt in, opt out. You have to say, yes, please share my information with XYZ. So I think that is where that may have arisen from. I understand all the reasons why, if you've been spammed for by any number of things, by phone or by email or by text, I believe that's where that came from. And I would hope there would be a committee in the future that could work on this for the future. We can't fix it now. That would allow people to opt in, and we won't have to revisit this again, because I do believe it gets resolved by getting people to opt in to say, yes, it's okay to share it or not. That may or may not absolve the board and the organization of any legal implications in the future. So I don't know what committee that would go to, but I would be happy to work on that and research it. But I do believe that is where that originated from. And we're opting in and opting out every day, or if you don't read
Yes.
conditions, that's what's happening. So
thank you.
LaRoya, thank you very much. Melvin, thank you for thanking LaRoya. Yeah, I think this is a better discussion when it's focused on the facts as opposed to hearsay or false and misleading information. Does anyone else want to make a comment before I ask for a motion to adjourn? Does anyone else want to make a comment before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
This is Barbara, and I would like to just thank all of those who have stayed on the call. And again, I will ditto what Rodney said. Whether I win or not, I will continue to serve my community. But from this call, this is why I am running. We need peace in our community. If Rodney should win, I will support him. But I just want to thank everyone on this call for sticking on the call, for volunteering to make our community a better community. So I'm going to say good night, and I say thank you to all.
Does anyone else want to make any closing? Thank you, Barbara. That was well said. Does anybody want to make any closing statements before we head off?
Yes, can we end the call? This is really too late.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that for those of you who are new to LRCA, this is not how we've existed at all. I've been part of this organization for 20 years. Other people on the call have been part of this organization for far longer than I have. This is an aberration. This is not how we operate. I thank you for hanging in there.
Thank
Certainly,
you.
I thank everybody for all that they've done, especially the board. This is probably one of the worst pandemics we've had in this country's history. And so the board and other volunteers have hung in there and done a lot of good hard work. So with that being said, let's all put our personal agendas aside. Let's have a fact-based discussion. Let's work to improve this community. And I would ask for a motion to close the meeting. Can I get a motion to end the meeting?
Motion to end the meeting.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say whoop, whoop.
Aye. Oh my
Nice.
goodness.
Yes,
Any
Lord.
opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you all.
No.
Be safe. Be safe. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Good night.